Hi. I've spoken with the leadership of the church, and we have decided that there's still some things that need to be discussed. And one of the things is I have shared a little bit about my point of view when it comes to the issue of disaffiliation. But I'm going to release three videos that better describe my point of view as the pastor of this congregation. And so this will be the first of those three videos. And so on the first video, I want to describe how the vote will work here on the 21st. When you arrive, you will be checked in to ensure that you are a member of the Delta United Methodist Church, and the ballot will read as follows. The church shall disaffiliate from the United Methodist Church in accordance with paragraph 2553 of the Book of Discipline and the policies and procedures of West Ohio Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church, including its standard disaffiliation agreement. Affirmative vote of at least two-thirds of professing members present and voting is required. As a professing member of the Delta United Methodist Church, I have prayerfully considered our disaffiliating from the United Methodist Church, and I vote yes. This will not be on there. A yes vote means that you would like to your church or yourself to leave the United Methodist Church. A no vote means that you would like the congregation to stay being United Methodist. The second thing that I wanted to do today is discuss what is actually on paragraph 2553 and the part of the paragraph I feel our church would be looking at for the purpose of disaffiliation. Paragraph 2553 is a little bit longer than this, but the paragraph that's inside the paragraph, the beginning part, the basis, states this. Because of the current deep conflict within the United Methodist Church around issues of human sexuality, a local church shall have a limited right, under the provisions of this paragraph, to disaffiliate from the denomination for reasons of conscience regarding a change in requirements and provisions of the Book of Discipline related to the practice of homosexuality or the ordination or marriage of self avowed practicing homosexuals as a result and adopted by the 2019 General Conference or the actions or inactions of its annual conference related to these issues. So the question becomes is how did we get here? Well, as a denomination, we have been arguing this issue that surrounds LBGQT marriages and ordination or our clergy for roughly 2 decades. The conversations really started to gain traction in our general conference in 2016. For those of you that don't know what a general conference is, it is when the entire denomination gets together to discuss its issues of the church and work together to find ways to do ministry better globally. Members of the General Conference are elected by an annual conference like ours, West Ohio Conference, and general conferences gather every 4 years. So, back to what happened in 2016 at the General Conference, there was no resolution that was passed to allow for LBGQT marriages or ordination of LBGQT persons, people that were self-avowed and practicing. There was a special conference voted on to happen in 2019 from that, with the specific task of finding a resolution to these issues. Here's the thing that is at hand. With the LBGQT is not the only issue. It's truly the tip of the iceberg, and sadly, the LBGQT community has now become the poster child to the real issues that is biblical interpretation. So back in 2019, there was no resolution. Nothing was figured out. And they kind of just passed it down again. And so there was going to be another conference in 2020. That conference didn't happen because of COVID. 2021 because of COVID. 2022 because of COVID. And then 2024. Sadly, 2022 could have happened, but there was some potential opportunities for some politics and some other issues that may have happened at hand. Uh, what has been stated by the Council of Bishops is that they could not make it happen with getting visas due to COVID. So, back to where I stand with this LBGQT issue in this paragraph is the last sentence is the most important part to me. I'll reread it. Or the actions or inactions of its annual conference related to these issues which follows. And then it goes on to these issues and everything else. My heart truly breaks for these people that are in the LGBTQT community. I have family members, I have friends that have been hurt by this, that fall into that category, and it's sad to see their names be dragged through by these conferences for far too long. The denomination as a whole has shown that they have not been able to settle these arguments, and furthermore, they have not made a firm stance on what they believe. Although the discipline, which is our set of rules or governance of the United Methodist Church, has not changed, the denomination has allowed for LGBTQ individuals to become a bishop. And again, recently, just back in November, in the fall, another bishop uh, that is gay has been elected. And why does this bother me? My issue that I have is bigger than the LGBTQT community. My issue is that if we are Methodists, we believe that in the practice of the way that we hold our institution accountable, then we are really not Methodists. The bishops are supposed to be holding clergy, laypersons, and churches accountable to the discipline or set of rules. But when they are not doing that themselves, it becomes problematic. Do we all sin? Yes. But what they are saying without saying it is that they don't have to follow those rules because they believe they're going to change later, but they haven't changed yet. The last point I want to make about this topic is how we got here and what has happened and where we are going as a denomination is that there's been zero in our last election, zero conservative bishops were elected to become a bishop in our denomination. We are now on a trajectory to become more and more progressive as a denomination. This whole idea of having an open tent will not exist. It'll be a very progressive, we're moving in a position to be very progressive denomination. Will there be room for centralists and conservatives at the table? Yes, absolutely there will be. But once again, that causes two issues. It causes the denomination to not have a true identity and a firm stance on their beliefs. And second, how long will that be the case? When a mass amount of conservative churches are already left the denomination and already leaving the denomination, it's not really possible to tell when this transition will start happening, but the balance has already been tipped into another direction. And as your pastor, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted of the way that this issue has been presented. And I believe that this congregation, our congregation here in Delta, is a great congregation, trending in a great direction. And I do not want to keep having this battle or continually kicking the can down the road. I want to get back to the real thing, knowing who Jesus is more and more every day and sharing that with my neighbor. Blessings to you all and amen.